My wife cheated for 3 years while I supported her. She had 5 dating apps and a spreadsheet rating my replacements by salary. But I exposed her in front of all her friends and left them speechless. I'm 34 years old. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I make pretty good money. Like enough that my wife hasn't worked for the last 3 years because supposedly she was figuring out what to do with her life. And what I'm about to tell you literally destroyed my 6-year marriage and my trust in people in general. The thing is, I thought we had a good marriage. You know, one of those normal ones where sometimes you argue about silly things, but at the end of the day you love each other and you're building something together. Or so I thought, like an idiot. Because it turns out that while I was paying all the bills, the mortgage, her car, her girls' nights out, everything, she was basically shopping online, looking for my replacement, like I was an old phone that didn't work for her anymore. I guess I should start at the beginning, when I met Erica. It was like 8 years ago at a mutual friend's party, and she was amazing. I mean, smart, funny, ambitious. She talked about all the things she wanted to achieve in her career, and I was totally hooked. We got married after 2 years of dating. A nice wedding, but not over the top because we both wanted to save for a house, and at first everything was going well. She worked in marketing. I was at my engineering firm, and we were that young couple building their future together. You know what I mean? But like 3 years into the marriage, she started complaining about her job, how her boss was an idiot, how they didn't value her, how she deserved something better. And I completely supported her when she said she wanted to quit to find something she was really passionate about. I told her no problem, that I could cover the expenses while she explored options, and that's how she stopped working 3 years ago. The first few months, everything seemed normal. She was sending resumes, taking some online courses, going for coffee with professional contacts, typical for someone who's in career transition. But like a year in, I started noticing she wasn't talking about work as much anymore. And when I asked her, she'd say vague things like she was reevaluating what she really wanted to do with her life, that she needed time to discover herself. All that self-help jargon that's everywhere now. I didn't pressure her much because I thought, well, if I can give her that space, it's fine. We have the money. There's no rush. But what I didn't know was that during that time, she had started spending a ton of time with her best friend Wendy. And Wendy is basically one of those toxic people who are always dissatisfied with everything and spread that negative energy to everyone around them. The exact moment everything started falling apart was like 9 months ago, on a Saturday afternoon. I had gone out to buy some stuff at the supermarket and came back earlier than planned because I forgot my wallet and had to go back for it. When I walked into the house, I heard Erica in the living room talking to Wendy and another friend. They were drinking wine and laughing, and I was going to say hi, but I heard my name, and something in the tone made me stop in the hallway. Wendy was saying something like, "But seriously, Erica, doesn't it tire you that Gregory is so predictable?" And Erica laughed and said, "Oh, you have no idea how much. It's like having a boring roommate who pays the bills," and they all laughed. I just stood there feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach, but it continued. The other friend asked if Erica had thought about leaving me, and she answered, "Not yet, but if I find someone better, I'd definitely do the upgrade. I just need to have my options clear first." I mean, can you believe it? My wife was literally talking about replacing me like I was a car model. She didn't like anymore. And even worse, she was waiting to have something better secured before leaving me. At that moment, I walked into the living room like nothing, said hi as normally as I could, grabbed my wallet, and left. They went quiet when they saw me. That awkward silence that tells you they were definitely talking about you. But they didn't say anything, and neither did I. That night, when Wendy and the friend left, I confronted Erica. I told her directly that I had heard what she said, and she got super defensive immediately, saying it was just girl talk, that she didn't mean it seriously, that I was overreacting and being insecure. She made me feel like I was the problem for having heard and for being upset, like expert-level gaslighting, and I ended up apologizing for spying on her even though I hadn't even done it on purpose. That's how manipulative she was. But after that conversation, something changed in me. I couldn't just forget it and continue like nothing happened. I started noticing things that had probably always been there, but I didn't want to see. Erica spent a ton of time on her phone, and when I'd walk into the room, she'd quickly put it away or turn the screen over. She went out more often, with Wendy, sometimes several times a week, and she'd always come back late, like 11 at night or later. When I'd ask her where she'd been, she'd give vague answers, like at the usual bar, or they went to dinner, nothing specific. And she started getting more dressed up when going out. Full makeup, more provocative clothes, expensive perfume I'd given her for our anniversary, the whole show. And the confirmation that something really bad was happening came like 2 months after what I overheard. My best friend Jordan called me on a Thursday night. He sounded uncomfortable and told me he needed to tell me something but didn't know how. Turns out he had gone to dinner with his girlfriend at an elegant downtown restaurant, one of those expensive ones where people go to impress, and he saw Erica there with some guy. They weren't just having dinner as friends. According to Jordan, they were acting super affectionate. He had his hand over hers on the table, and at one point, he saw her laugh and touch his arm in that way that's obviously flirty. Jordan said at first he thought maybe he was wrong, but it was definitely Erica. He recognized her perfectly, and the guy wasn't anyone he knew from our circle of friends or family. That information destroyed me, but also gave me clarity. I wasn't being paranoid or insecure like she wanted to make me believe. Something real was happening. But instead of confronting her immediately, I decided I needed more solid evidence. Because I knew if I said something to her, she'd deny everything, make me feel crazy, and probably get more careful. So I waited for my moment. Like a week later, she left her laptop open on the dining room table while she went to take a shower. Normally, I wouldn't check her stuff because I'm not one of those people. But we were already beyond that. You know, trust was already broken anyway. I opened her laptop, and the first thing I saw was that she had like 5 open tabs of different dating apps: Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and some I didn't even know. Her profile on all of them said she was single, looking for a serious relationship, independent professional, all lies, obviously, because she didn't work and was married. I checked her messages, and I literally felt like I was going to throw up. She had active conversations with like 8 different men, all super flirty, making plans to meet up, sending photos, and the worst part is that in several chats she talked bad about me, saying things like her ex was boring and unambitious, when I was the one literally paying for her entire existence. There was one guy in particular she'd already had like 3 dates with, according to the messages, and they were planning a 4th. But what really blew my mind was a folder on her desktop called New Life Planning, or something like that. I opened it, and it was basically her divorce strategy. She had documents about how spousal support worked in our state, how much she could get from me in a settlement, a list of divorce lawyers specializing in cases where the wife doesn't work, and most chilling, a kind of spreadsheet where she had listed different men she had gone out with or was talking to, with columns for estimated income, profession, whether they owned a home, whether they wanted kids. Basically, she was evaluating them as candidates to be her next provider. I was on that list too, as a point of comparison, I guess, and it had notes like, current, stable but boring, no growth potential. I don't remember exactly how long I sat there looking at all that. I think like an hour. Just trying to process that the person I had married, who I loved, literally saw me as a temporary bank until she found a better option. I took photos of everything with my phone, the profiles, the messages, the planning folder, absolutely everything. Then I closed the laptop and left it exactly as it was. When Erica came out of the bathroom, I was on the couch watching TV like nothing, and she didn't even suspect anything. That night, I didn't sleep. I spent it thinking about what to do. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, yell at her, kick her out of the house, but I knew that would be stupid, that I needed a plan. The next day, I went straight to see a divorce lawyer, a guy named Anthony, who was recommended by a coworker who had gone through a complicated divorce. I showed him all the evidence I had collected, and Anthony basically told me I had a perfect case, that with that evidence of infidelity and the fact that she didn't work by her own choice, I wouldn't have to pay almost anything in spousal support, and that we could make the process relatively quick. Anthony advised me not to say anything yet, that first we'd prepare all the legal paperwork, that I should secure my finances, and that we should have a clear strategy before serving papers. So that's what I did. I hired Anthony. We started preparing the divorce petition, and meanwhile at home, I acted like everything was normal, even though inside I was dying. I opened a new bank account where I started transferring half of each paycheck, gradually reduced her access to shared credit cards without it being too obvious, basically started protecting my assets without her noticing. I also stopped doing things I normally did, like if before I cooked dinner 3 times a week, I stopped doing it. If I normally washed her clothes along with mine, I only washed mine. Little things like that. When she'd ask, I'd say I was too busy with work or just didn't feel like it. And she'd complain but couldn't say much because technically she had all the time in the world to do those things. I think on some level she started noticing I was different, more distant. But she probably thought it was because I was bored with her, which ironically was what she had been saying about me. This continued for like 2 months. Me on autopilot at home, preparing everything with Anthony, gathering more evidence whenever I could. Erica kept going out with her friends. I already knew she was probably seeing one or several of the guys from her apps, but I didn't say anything. Until like 3 months ago, something happened that gave me the perfect opportunity for my exit plan. Erica told me super excitedly that she had organized a weekend at Wendy's parents' lake house with several friends, 3 couples including us, like a couple's getaway. The others were going to be Jasmine and Bethany, Shane and Douglas, and Curtis with his girlfriend of the moment. Erica asked me if we could go, using that sweet voice she used when she wanted something, saying it would be fun, that we hadn't done something like that as a couple in a long time. Inside, I was thinking, this woman is literally cheating on me and planning to leave me, and still wants me to go on a romantic getaway with our friends. The audacity was incredible. But I told her yes, of course we'd go, and she got super happy. At that moment, the idea came to me, and when I went to see Anthony, I told him about the trip and asked if we could have the papers ready by then. He said yes. That could be perfect because I'd have witnesses to her reaction and we'd be in a neutral place. So that's what we decided, that I'd go on the trip, bring the divorce papers, and do everything there. Anthony warned me it could be dramatic, and I told him exactly, that's the point. The weekend arrived. Erica was super excited packing bags, asking me if I had packed a swimsuit, planning what activities we'd do, all that energy she hadn't shown toward me in months. I packed my things and also put in my laptop in a briefcase with the divorce papers and a USB drive with all the evidence I had collected. During the car ride, she was talking the whole time. I just nodded and made minimal comments. My head was on what was going to happen. We arrived at the lake house on a Friday afternoon. It was a really nice place, one of those with a private dock and water view. Definitely a house of people with money. The others were already there, everyone super happy to see us. Hugs, glasses of wine, the atmosphere was cheerful. That night we all had dinner together, played board games. It was nice, I guess, though I was kind of disconnected. Erica drank quite a bit of wine and got super affectionate with me in front of everyone, hugging me, telling me she loved me, and I just thought about how fake it all was. I went to sleep early saying I was tired from the trip. On Saturday, everyone did activities, swam, some went kayaking. I participated the minimum necessary to not raise suspicions. In the afternoon, I asked Wendy if I could use the smart TV in the living room because supposedly I wanted to show everyone some photos from a trip we had taken. She said, sure, no problem. After Saturday dinner, when we were all in the living room having drinks and relaxed, I told them I wanted to show them something. I connected my laptop to the TV, and Erica was sitting next to me on the couch, smiling, with no idea what was coming. I started showing normal photos from a trip we took 2 years ago, everyone commenting how nice, how beautiful, those things. And then I switched to the screenshots of her dating profiles. The silence was instant. Everyone looking at the screen, not understanding what was happening, and Erica turned white, completely pale. I showed her conversations with different men, the messages where she talked bad about me, the new life planning folder with her spreadsheet evaluating replacements, everything. Erica started screaming, what was I doing? To turn that off, she tried to take the laptop from me, but I had already moved to the next image. The others were in total shock. Jasmine had her mouth open. Shane just kept saying no way, over and over. Curtis looked uncomfortable staring at the floor. Wendy tried to defend Erica, saying this was private and that I was abusive for showing these things, but Douglas told her to shut up, that Erica was the one who had been cheating. When I finished showing all the evidence, I took out the divorce papers from my briefcase. I told Erica in front of everyone. I've been supporting you for 3 years while you looked for my replacement, treating me like I was a temporary option. Well, here are the divorce papers. You're officially being served. The scene that followed was chaotic. Erica crying hysterically, screaming that I was a son of a bitch. How could I do this to her in front of her friends, that I had planned to humiliate her? And I answered her, you planned to leave me as soon as you found someone better, and thought you'd squeeze the most money possible out of me. I'm just saving you the work. She tried to make excuses, saying she had never physically cheated, that she was just exploring options, that I had emotionally neglected her. Basically, everything was my fault, according to her. Wendy was still trying to defend her, saying women have the right to seek their happiness. And Bethany told her that being married and on dating apps actively looking to replace your husband wasn't seeking happiness, it was being a traitor and a user. I told Erica she had until Sunday to pack her things from the lake house because I was leaving right then, that when she returned home, she had 2 weeks to get all her belongings out because I was going to change the locks, and that my lawyer would contact her to proceed with the divorce. I grabbed my stuff, threw it in the car, and left. As I was driving back to the city, my hands were shaking. I don't know if it was adrenaline or what, but I felt like a giant weight had been lifted off me. It was liberating and terrifying at the same time, because even though she had betrayed me, she was still my wife. We had shared 6 years of life together, and part of me was sad it ended like this, even though she definitely deserved it. The following days were a mess. Several of the friends who were there wrote to me, some apologizing for not knowing what to do in the moment, others telling me I did the right thing, that Erica deserved it. Jasmine wrote me a long message, saying she had noticed weird things in Erica's behavior the last few months, but never imagined it was this serious, and that she regretted not having said something to me before. Wendy obviously blocked me everywhere and sent me a voice message saying I was an abusive monster before blocking me, typical of her to project. Erica's family found out what happened because she obviously told them her version first, where I was the bad guy who humiliated her publicly for no reason. But when some of them contacted me and I explained the situation and showed them the evidence, several changed their tone. Her dad called me like a week later and sounded embarrassed. He told me he had no idea his daughter had done that he had a lot of respect for me and that he was sorry things had ended like this. Her sister Kay was more direct. She wrote to me saying she had always thought Erica was spoiled and lazy, but that this was another level and that I was completely right to divorce her. Her cousin Emma, who Erica ended up staying with after I kicked her out of the house, contacted me asking me to please reconsider, that Erica was devastated and repentant. And I sent her the same evidence I showed at the lake house and told her that if she still thought I should reconsider, after seeing that, then she was just as lost as Erica. The divorce process took like 3 months total. Erica tried to fight for spousal support, arguing she had sacrificed her career for the marriage, but Anthony presented all the evidence of her infidelity and her plans to leave me, and the judge basically told her she wasn't going to receive anything beyond a small compensation for some furniture and personal items she left at the house. She had to get a job eventually. I think she's doing something as an administrative assistant. I don't know exactly, because I obviously haven't kept in touch. Wendy and she are still friends as far as I know, probably both talking about how horrible I am and how the system is against me, even though I was the one who was cheated on and used financially. As for me, the first few months were weird. Like you go from autopilot pretending everything's fine to suddenly being alone in a house you used to share with someone. But honestly, I feel better. Much better than when I was in that fake marriage. Like a month ago, I met a woman at the gym. Her name is, I don't know. Let's say Rachel for this purpose. And we've gone out a couple times. Nothing serious yet, but it's refreshing to meet someone who has her own career, pays for her own things, and doesn't see you as an ATM with legs. I don't know if it'll be something long-term, but for now it's fine. I'm enjoying meeting new people without that pressure of having to provide for someone who doesn't appreciate anything. Last week, Douglas invited me for some beers. He told me that since that weekend at the lake, he and several of those who were there have a completely different perspective on relationships, that it opened their eyes about how wrong you can be about someone. He thanked me for having the courage to expose Erica, because according to him, that prevented some of them from making similar mistakes of blindly trusting their partners without paying attention to the signs. I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse, Honestly, because I didn't want to be a life lesson for anyone. I just wanted to have a real marriage where both people respected each other mutually. But well, at least something positive came out of that whole disaster, I guess. And that's it. Basically, that's how I discovered my wife saw me as a temporary stepping stone towards something better and decided that if anyone was going to be discarded, it would be her from my life.